Welcome to Alifes, Anonymous Life Stories. Tonight's guest is a woman we'll call Anna. She's 48, lives alone, keeps to herself. What happened is in the past now, but not forgotten. Listener discretion is advised. Anna, who were you before all this?
I was the kind of woman people looked past. Overweight, grayish skin, hair always pulled back, not styled, just tied away. I taught English literature at an alternative night school. Most of the students were immigrants, refugees, or just barely clinging to the system. They weren't there because they loved learning. They were there because if they didn't show up, they'd lose housing, welfare, immigration status. Some of them literally had nowhere else to go. I felt sorry for them. They were young and scared and hanging on by threads. And maybe I saw too much of myself in them. I didn't have friends, never married, never had a man love me, not really. Sex? If it happened, it was paid. And even then, they rushed it. Never looked me in the eyes, just did what they had to do and left. So I told myself I had a purpose. I was helping these kids, giving them a safe place to be, until she arrived. Claire. She was the new art teacher. Blonde, tall, lean, perfect makeup, even at night. She smiled like it was a weapon, soft, calculated, and they all noticed. The students leaned in when she spoke. They offered to carry her bags, drew her in their sketches, laughed too loud at her jokes. I pretended not to care, but something burned in me every time I saw her touch their shoulders or ruffle their hair. She could get away with anything. One night after a school event, I went back to the staff room for my forgotten scarf. That's when I saw her, Claire, with Darren, Syrian boy, maybe 20, dark eyes, always silent but always watching. He had her pressed against the wall like he owned her. She let him, arms around his neck, her legs wrapped slightly around his thigh, their mouths locked like no one else existed. They didn't see me. I didn't say anything. But I felt something snap. I didn't want to stop it. I wanted that. I wanted him. Not love, not romance, just someone who touched me like I mattered, like I wasn't a ghost. 2 weeks later, Darren stayed after class. I didn't plan it. I just said, I saw you. That night, with Claire. He froze, eyes locked on mine. I said, don't worry. I'm not going to report it. He relaxed a little, then asked, why are you telling me? I looked him in the eye and said, because I think we could help each other. He frowned. Help how? I smiled. You need a passing grade. I can give it. He shook his head. That's not how this works. Then added, you're disgusting. That stung. Something cold settled in my chest. I said, you think you're safe here? One call from me, and immigration shows up at your doorstep. You'll be on a plane before sunrise. He stared at me, shocked, then terrified. He didn't come willingly, but he didn't say no. Was I cruel that night? Maybe, but he called me disgusting. He made me feel invisible again. I told him to take off his clothes. He hesitated, but did it. I didn't touch him at first, just looked. Eventually, I sat on his face. I wanted to feel him panic, to hear the sounds he made when breath became a luxury. He gagged. I didn't move. He vomited, just a little, but he cleaned it himself, silently. After that, it became routine. Every Wednesday after class, same time, same act. He never spoke during. I never asked questions, but his grades improved. Word must have spread. Or maybe they just noticed the change in Darren. More confident, less scared. A few weeks later, another student lingered. Ahmed, he asked, do you also grade behavior? I said, depends on how you behave. It became transactional. They came in quiet, nervous, left sweaty, sometimes shaking. I started enjoying it. No, not the acts, the power. I'd make them strip slowly, make them say things, dirty, pathetic things. I made one of them cry while I whispered, "You're nothing unless I want you to be." And still they returned because they needed what I had: a signature, a grade, a reason to stay in the country. I bought a small camera, tiny, hidden behind books, not for pleasure, for leverage. I never watched the footage, but I knew it existed. Insurance. One of the boys once called me steamroller behind my back. Another mimed puking after leaving my office. Did it hurt? Number, because they kept coming back, because they feared me, and in that fear I felt wanted. Claire, that bitch. She found out. Maybe one of the students told her. Maybe she saw something. She cornered me after a staff meeting. Said, "I know what you're doing." I said, "And I know what you did. So let's not pretend you're pure." She flinched. "That was a mistake." I smiled. "So is this conversation." She threatened me, said she'd go to the police. I laughed. "If I go down, so do you." But I miscalculated. She went anyway. Police showed up 2 weeks later. They had evidence, screenshots, witnesses, everything. I was charged 6 years, served 5. Claire, she got probation, said she was manipulated, claimed she was young and taken advantage of. Bullshit. Now I live in a small town. Different name, no teaching, no contact with youth. I work in an archive, moving old files no one reads. Do I regret it? Number, I regret getting caught. I regret trusting silence. But for a while, I was seen, touched, feared. And when you've been invisible your whole life, fear feels like the closest thing to love. But that's not where the story ends. About a year into my sentence, I received a letter. The handwriting was neat but cautious, like the writer wasn't sure if he had the right to write. It was from Darren, the first one, the one who called me disgusting, the one who vomited and cleaned it up without a word. He said he forgave me, that he didn't understand what was happening back then, not fully, that he felt used but also confused, that he didn't hate me, that he thought about me sometimes. He wanted to know if I was eating well, if I had anyone to talk to. I didn't answer right away. I kept the letter in my mattress for weeks. Then one night I wrote back. That was the beginning. We exchanged letters for over 2 years, sometimes weekly, sometimes just a postcard. He told me about his life. He'd started night classes again, was dating someone, had a job at a restaurant. Then he broke up. Then he moved. Then he started writing poetry. Some of it was about me. Most of it was about being lost. He made me feel seen again, but differently, gentler. It didn't feel like power. It felt like being remembered. On my release day, there was no one waiting for me. But a week later, I found a note at the library where I now volunteer on weekends. It just said, "Glad you're out. I still write. Let's get coffee." We did. He looked older, of course. So did I. He had a beard now. He laughed more. He apologized again. I told him not to. We talk every week now. Not lovers, not enemies. Something in between. I still don't know what to call it, but for the first time in my life, I don't feel alone.
That was Anna. Not every story has a moral. Some just reveal what loneliness does when left to rot. You've been listening to Alifes, Anonymous Life Stories. Subscribe for more stories that live in the dark. Until next time, stay aware.